Most healthcare professionals agree that exercise, good nutrition, minimizing emotional stress, and engaging in social activities are the keys to healthy aging. But are there other factors involved? Stay tuned and find out more. Dr. Barbie Barrett is double board certified in emergency medicine and regenerative medicine, and she is currently an associate professor at Stanford University and Medical Center. In addition, she holds a master's degree in metabolic and nutritional medicine and is the founder of Entrada Medical Group, which specializes in cosmetic and physiologic anti-aging and regenerative medicine. Dr. Barrett is also a consultant to Suzanne Somers and contributed to one of her best-selling books. Last but not least, Dr. Barbie Barrett, along with 3 colleagues, has published a book called Hormonal Bioidentity. Welcome to our program, Dr. Barrett, and congratulations on the publication of your book.
Thank you, Grace. That's very kind of you. I'm very honored and humbled to be here. Thank you. I much appreciate it.
Well, first, please remind us, what are hormones and what functions do they perform?
Certainly. Grace, hormones are basically chemical messengers, and they can transmit messages to end organs or glands, and they come from the brain. And these messages are sent very rapid fire to help us get through our daily activities and maintain our basic homeostasis and good health.
And what are some of the common symptoms of hormones being out of balance?
They range anywhere from mental fog, confusion, difficulties with sleep, insomnia, weight problems, weight gain, weight loss, appetite changes, mood swings, heart problems, reproductive problems, muscle loss, fat gain, many bodily functions. Certainly the gut, bowel and bladder function, skin. Basically every organ that we have is affected by our hormones, and our hormones are those messengers that direct our cells to do the appropriate thing at the appropriate time.
So they really have a wide-ranging list of functions.
Exactly, Grace.
And what hormones are most commonly replicated?
Typically, patients will come to see me for a thyroid problem or a diabetes problem. They may have too much thyroid hormone or too little thyroid hormone, or they may have too much insulin resistance or not enough insulin. And those are ones that we tend to medically replace. A very, very big and upcoming part of hormone replacement is in the anti-aging or the regenerative field. And those include the sex hormones as well as the peptide hormones. And sex hormones are things that you're familiar with, such as estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, then the mineralocorticoids, which control blood pressure, the stress reaction, cortisol. These are the type of hormones that all impact our daily decisions, our daily life habits and patterns. So basically, patients come to me for all of those things. They may come for something just as simple as, doctor, I'm not feeling well.
Now, you've written a book called Hormonal Bioidentity. So what exactly are bioidentical hormones?
Good question. Bioidentity is a term that we coined because what we want is each person has a different bioidentity. Just the two of us are sitting here, we look very differently, we live different lives, we have different stress levels, And so that's the identity part of it. And the bio is that we're trying to take that biology and improve what's going on, the environmental stressors or the toxins that we're being bombarded with every day. So each person has their unique bioidentity. Everybody in this room has a unique bioidentity. And so we try to target this medicine, the correct medicine, to the individual patient. And we do that with hormone manipulation, and as you earlier mentioned, certainly lifestyle, sleep, exercise, diet, stress modification.
So what are they made of?
Good question. The basic chemicals are either made they're bioidentical hormones as well as prescription hormones. They're all made in a lab. Okay. The difference between a bioidentical and a prescriptive is a bioidentical, just like the word says, is literally identical, atom for atom, that you naturally made when you were younger and I made when we were younger. We replicate that atom for atom without adding a side chain or modifying it in any way. It's atom for atom replication with bioidenticals. With the prescription drugs, not all of them, but many of them, there is a side chain or an additional additive added, because you really can't patent natural products, but you can patent something that you've changed or chemically manipulated. And so that's the big difference.
So what are traditional hormones used in hormone therapy made from? Is it different?
It is. Traditionally, we were using things, for example, Premarin. Premarin is made from horse urine.
Oh, horse urine.
Yes. Well, you and I are not horses. So
No.
our receptor sites are not going to receive that different chemical. Obviously, a horse has a different chemical from
Yes.
us. And the receptor is not going to take that in and be able to optimize it and really channel that hormone to do its best job. It's almost like a set of keys. If you don't have the right key,
Right.
door isn't going to open.
Right.
Okay. And so that's when you talk about target cells, that's basically the concept.
And are bioidentical hormones safer than the synthetic hormones?
Certainly, studies have shown that they are safer. There was a large study, the WHI Women's Health Initiative, which was a well-intentioned but flawed study, and the news basically caught a lot of the sensationalism of that and said, that the hormones were bad in general, but the bioidenticals are not horse urine. They're not added. They're what you and I used to make when we were 16, 18, 21. So it's atom again, atom just replicated. So I do not personally feel, and studies will bear me out, that these are a bad thing to do. Although, as I say, the news really sensationalized that Women's Health Initiative. And since there have been many studies, the European Fournier study studied many more women, and that's basically what happened, is that we now realize years later that there were certain flaws in the study that came forth later, and now we are readjusting our thinking to realizing that, hey, we really do want to replicate these things.
Now, I've read that there's something called compounded bioidentical hormones. What are they exactly?
Compounded gives the physician the ability, and the pharmacist the ability, to make those to your bioidentity. Grace, you and I are not going to require the same amount of hormones or even the same type of hormones or timing or duration or quantity or quality. So this allows the pharmacist, rather than one pill for all, I can say Grace needs X amount and I need X plus Y. And I want Grace to do it topically like a cream, but for me, I need a pill. And so it allows me to actually individualize this and target exactly to what is best for you and optimal for your health.
And what's the difference between prescription forms of bioidentical hormones and compounded forms that you just told us about?
Good question. Again, the compounded forms are natural, atom for atom. You can't really make a big profit on these things because you, as I said earlier, you can't patent natural compounds. Okay, the prescriptions can be patented and they can be manipulated. So the prescription medicines are different than the bioidenticals, and certainly when you start talking prescription, the receptor sites are going to receive them differently. There are some prescriptions out there that do come very close to the bioidenticals, and they are available.
And are the compounded bioidentical hormones less safe to use?
Not at all. Bottom line is the pharmacists have to go through very rigorous government restrictions, just as regular pharmacies, if you will. There's standard operating procedures, just as they are to land an airplane. And there are standard operating procedures for both pharmacists, compounding pharmacists, as well as the regular pharmacists. They have an advisory board. They actually have insight visits that come to these pharmacies, just as they do the regular pharmacies. So they are very, very highly monitored. If you're going to call yourself a pharmacy, you have to meet certain requirements that are set forth by the government accreditation agencies, just as a physician has to meet certain requirements. These pharmacies do too.
So have bioidenticals been approved by the FDA?
Excellent question. The ingredients in the bioidenticals have absolutely been approved by the FDA.
And are the side effects of bioidentical hormones different than those used in the traditional HRT?
Definitely. A lot of the traditional, for example, estrogen, is taken orally. Anytime you take something orally, it's going to be circulated through the enterohepatic system, which means it's going to go to the liver. The liver will break it down. And estrogen, we do not like to give orally. So with the bioidenticals, I would prescribe you something topically. You would put it on your skin, and it's not going through that enterohepatic circulation. It doesn't go to the liver, which would transform it. It comes into you exactly to your receptor cells, or the cells I want to target. It comes in very naturally, so that key fits that keyhole.
So why do the traditional HRT, why is that usually given in pill form, like Premarin?
Sure. Patient convenience, physician preference. I had to go back to school to learn all of this. This was not taught in medical school. We don't really spend a lot of time on anti-aging. In medical school, I got 2 hours of education on sleep, and sleep is 1/3 of my patient's life.
Right.
And if I can't give them hormones that will allow them to sleep instead of being up all night with hot flashes, where are we? So I've got 2 years and all my 14 years of medical education, 2 hours was devoted to sleep.
Is that all?
Yes, and in that was included in the hormones. So we're working in an emergency department, seeing people keep recycling with the same problems. Doctor, I'm stressed. Doctor, my blood pressure's out of control. I thought, I'm missing the picture. So I went back to school after being a physician for 25 years, and I went back and got my master's and spent time in that 1/3 of the patient's life when those hormones are really doing their best to growth and repair at night.
Why is it that you don't get that kind of education in medical school?
Yeah, I wish I could answer that. There's so much to learn in medical school. And certainly in America, we've been very, if you will, reactive rather than proactive. Whereas in other countries, let's take Japan, they're very proactive. So instead of, Grace, waiting for you to come to my office and saying, I feel horrible, and I'm kicking the cat, and I divorced my husband, and whatever, we try to be proactive and say, well, maybe Grace is kicking her cat because she hasn't had enough sleep. Maybe she needs some melatonin at night. Maybe her insulin's out of control. So we try to do these corrections of these hormones that are out of whack, which happens to us as we age, happens to everybody.
Are bioidentical hormones more expensive than traditional HRT medication? What are the costs?
Excellent question, Grace. Our patients ask this all the time. And the good news is they're less expensive.
Oh, they are?
Yes, isn't that nice?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, they are less expensive. They are not patented, so it's very hard to make much money on a natural compound. Typically for hormone replacement, we're probably talking maybe $60 a month for estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, which would be big. Then you could add on things. Melatonin you can basically get over the counter, which would help us sleep. Growth hormone is a little more, that is more expensive. So each one, but definitely less expensive than what you would get by prescription form.
Oh, that's really surprising to hear.
Yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised.
Now, can athletes benefit from HRT? I hear that Tom Brady says he wants to play until he's 45 years old. Can bioidentical hormones help him?
I would certainly think so. We all know how we felt when we were 18. We got up and we had so much energy we didn't know what to do with it. And we all know how we feel now at age 70. Don't get up with that energy. So it would almost be like going to Tom Brady and saying, Tom, you know, you're getting old and you need some glasses. I'm going to correct you to the age that you are, and let's make him 70. Well, you wouldn't be happy if I did that.
No.
So what we do is we correct you to a younger age. And so I say, Tom, you want to wait till you're 45? Well, I'm going to correct your glasses to an age 25, okay? So we're trying, we are attempting to, if you will, to give us just to replace what we used to make naturally. You and I aren't making very much melatonin right now. Our vision isn't what it used to be. You and I aren't making very much estrogen. So we supplement this and add to and try to get us back to where we felt that good homeostasis, that great energy, and that, you know, as we were feeling when we were younger. As I say, I would no sooner, Grace, deprive you of your thyroid hormone or your insulin for your diabetes than I would your estrogen for your ovaries. We get pretty Victorian about our sex hormones. I'm not sure why. Certainly France doesn't. Certainly Japan doesn't. All those women are on these hormones and they're doing very, very well. But in America, we do tend to get this sort of restrictive Victorian attitude. Why would I not give your thyroid what it needs? Why would I withhold from your family, a male person in your family? Why would I take their testosterone away? That's the male feel-good hormone. Now I have testosterone, so do you. It's not a strictly male or a strictly female. Estrogen is not strictly female. Males and females have both estrogen and testosterone, this type of thing. But we're just trying to get us back to what you and I did best when we were younger.
And you're saying that in other countries they are doing this
absolutely
more routinely than we are.
In the developed countries, absolutely, yes. And we're just seeing increased longevity. We're seeing decreased malignancies, certainly decreased stress, certainly not the weight problems. You know, if you just kind of walk around and talk to people that are on hormones as opposed to, how many 18-year-olds do you see with a belly out to here? How many 60-year-olds do you see with a belly out to here? These are changes. We lose muscle mass every year. We exchange our muscle mass for fat cells as we age. So why not make that switch? It's just good medical sense.
Now, I've been hearing a lot about vitamin D in the news lately. Why is vitamin D important for our health? And it's actually a hormone, isn't it?
Grace, you are right on. You've been doing your studying. Most people don't realize that vitamin D is actually a hormone, or you might call it a prohormone. But vitamin D, remember, a hormone is a chemical messenger that goes to a target and tells it to do what it needs to do. So vitamin D is in every one of our cells. Every one of our cells is a vitamin D dependent. And the biggest problem used to be things like rickets. We don't see rickets so much anymore. I did see a case of rickets at Stanford recently.
Oh, really?
But that's rare. Yeah, that was, oh, really. Everybody came around to look at this kid. I was totally swaddled all the time, never saw sunshine, never. And, you know, that kid was vitamin D deficient. Mama, who had been exclusively breastfeeding, was also severely vitamin deficient.
Oh, my goodness.
And so that was a new one on me, the rickets. But just in general, for people like you and I, right now, look what we're doing for our vitamin D, Grace. Not a lot. Not much sunshine in this room here.
No.
Okay? So I'm not really getting a lot of vitamin D, and we're told, Grace, don't go in the sunlight at noon, so nobody goes in sunlight at high noon.
Well, I put on sunscreen
there
when I go.
you go, exactly. So sunscreen, so you're not getting much vitamin D, are you? People often say, well, doctor, why? I don't need a supplement, I can get what I need in my diet. Well, you really can't get what you need in your vitamin D in the diet. We certainly don't get it near the sun, and if we live, the further we live away from the equator, we even see more vitamin D problems. Now, given the fact that it's in every cell, brain cells, thyroid cells, lung cells, heart cells, very important for cell metabolism. We're now starting to use vitamin D levels in our traditional lab ordering, which years ago the naturopathic or allopathic doctors, we weren't ordering vitamin D, but now it's right on our routine labs with your traditional doctors are ordering vitamin D levels because we realize how important it is. And most of America is running around with low vitamin D. If you go on Alzheimer's ward and start testing, it's pathetic.
Really?
These men and women on these wards, these Alzheimer's wards, and now we're supplementing them. You test them when they go in, very, very low vitamin D. Vitamin D affects the brain, cognition, mental fog. Very sad.
So this is kind of a nationwide issue, isn't it?
It's very sad, hugely nationwide. Absolutely.
Now, another thing that I've been reading about are telomers. And tell us what are telomers and what is their significance?
Telomeres are just very, very new and very much in the news. And that's people ask about the telomeres all the time. A telomere is basically, it's your age time clock, okay? I've got a clock on you here, okay? And you and I, Grace, if we really got lucky, I think the number for the most human longevity is 122 years old. A French lady lived to be that where it's really documented she was 122. A clam's life is 400 years old.
Oh.
They have heck a lot of more telomeres
Really?
than you and I have. Okay?
My goodness.
Yes, a lobster's life is about 140 years old. They have heck a lot more telomeres than you and I have.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so we want to keep our telomeres intact. Now think of a telomere like a shoelace. And what is on the end of a shoelace is that little hard plastic. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, the hard plastic gets eroded or rotted away, and it's there to protect that shoelace. And what we do is our telomeres shorten as we age. So you and I, when we came in, we had some nice long shoelaces with great plastic ends. Go home and look at your old pair of tennies tonight, and you'll see those ends are all frayed and the plastic's gone. That's telomeres. So as we age, these telomeres divide and divide until we don't have any more. And when they don't have any more, then, Grace, I'm at your funeral.
Oh.
Okay, so what we want to do is keep our telomeres as long and those ends as intact as we can. Mm-hmm. And we can do that with telomerase is the enzyme that will prevent the shortening. So anything we can do to prevent shortening of telomeres. And a big part of shortening of telomeres is stress. And right now, here you and I are in an interview. Now, it's not stressful because you've been great, but it's stressful being in artificial light. Mm-hmm. It's stressful not being in a natural situation. This is helpful. We have some floral plants, but we've removed ourselves from our ancestors' comforts. Okay, we're not in fields and flowers and breathing, smelling the roses.
Right.
And so we're shortening our telomeres right now as we speak. So
no, that's not encouraging.
That's right, exactly. So we can replace that telomerase, which prevent that shortening, because let's face it, in our society we have traffic to get to work in the morning. We're on computers. We're spending many people are spending as much time or more on computers than they are sleeping. That all shortens your telomeres. Mm. So anything I can do to keep those long for you, I'm going to do it. And that's a simple fix. You can take telomerase in a pill form. Doesn't get any easier than that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, Elizabeth Blackwell won the Nobel Prize when she actually figured that out. She was a scientist over at UC Berkeley.
How long ago was this?
Oh, that was within certainly 10 years.
Oh, really? So fairly recent.
95, I believe, yeah.
Fairly recent. Now, another thing is inflammation. How does inflammation affect our health?
That inflammation is horrible. If you use the word itis after anything, itis means inflammation. Mm-hmm. Itis. Mm-hmm. Pharyngitis, tonsillitis, sinusitis, meningitis, carditis, any appendicitis, cholecystitis like gallbladder problems, colitis like intestinal problems. Itis after anything is inflammation. And if we could get rid of inflammation, we wouldn't have all those itises that can go wrong with us. Otitis media. So inflammation is just like daggers to your heart, your lungs, everything. And what causes inflammation? Lack of sleep, poor diet, processed foods. Stressors are huge for causing inflammation. I don't like my boss. I don't have any friends. My job is too much. I spend more time on the computer than I should. I don't like my school teacher. The stressors that we're facing today are more than ever. Our ancestors could run into about 1,000 people in their lifetime. Grace, you and I run into 1,000 people in a week easily. And each one of those people comes with their set of problems. And so inflammation is just higher. It's at an all-time high. And for the kids younger than us, we're starting to see fatty liver on autopsies in 5-year-olds.
Oh, my goodness.
That's inflammation. It's so changed. We've so removed ourselves from our environment. That's inflammation. And it's killing us. A lack of sleep can shorten your life expectancy like 6 times shorter.
Is that right?
6 times shorter.
Wow. That is
Scary.
frightening. Very scary.
Right.
And how about stem cells? What role do they play in anti-aging medicine?
Stem cells are really master cells. They're what we call pluripotent, which means I could take a stem cell and it could turn into skin cells, or muscle cells, or blood cells, or brain cells. In other words, these are cells that we had when we were in fetal development. We all started out as just a couple of cells.
Right, right.
But yet those cells went and made our optic region and our digestive system and our pulmonary system. These cells can go into any form, okay? And what we do with stem cells is we take these cells that have not yet differentiated or not yet specialized, and we can put these cells in someone, and these cells can then become where we put them, i.e., let's say a breast mass, let's say a joint that is degenerated. We can inject these stem cells, or we can infuse them with some of the blood-borne diseases, and these cells can actually go in and become new, brand new, unscathed cells that match and replace these skin cells or blood cells or cardiac myocytes, whatever you're particularly interested in. And so this is new stuff, and it's cutting edge. But yes, we're fortunate where you and I are in an era where we're actually seeing stem cells being employed in curing disease and preventing disease.
That is wonderful news, isn't it?
Aren't we lucky?
Is it getting to be more prevalent?
Yes, people are coming in for stem cell replacement much more because they're hearing about it too. Okay, my patients that when I started out in this 20 years ago, I used to have to send them down to Mexico.
Really?
Yeah, and that's sad. And they would get stem cell, infusions, and now I can do them here at Stanford if I want to.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. You have given us such interesting information to think about.
Well, Grace, you've been wonderful and an easy host. Hostess, you've been just great. It was like sitting back on the couch talking with my friends.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us.
With pleasure.
Dr. Barbie Barrett has certainly given us some very important information to think about. Thank you for watching today, and please remember to also watch us on YouTube and Roku. See you next time on The Better Part. Bye-bye.